Hello, good evening, and welcome to Skits and Quibbles, the Spotlight series. It's me, Precocious Lotus, or if you watched Mental Health Matters, Dr Audrey, Tang. But tonight I have an absolutely wonderful, soulful singer for you. She is incredible. Her songs are moving, they're heartfelt, and I can't wait for you to meet her. But before that, please do join me on the main stage. Well, today, as I promised you, I'm going to teach you the one-handed hat twiddle. We did two-handed last week. We're now going to do one-handed. Now, grab yourself a hat, and what you need to do is you need to be very, very careful. It's very tempting to hold the hat like this because this is how we normally put a hat on our head. But because we want to flip it round, you need to have your hands underneath the hat, underneath the rim, and your thumb on top, so it looks like this. And then all you need to do is tip the hat towards you and pop it on your head. And the faster you go, the better it looks. So you flip and on. And that is how you do the one-handed hat flip. So now you're all warmed up, are you ready for our special guest? She's originally from Chile and now lives in Northampton. She has written a number of absolutely beautiful songs, and she is a huge advocate for mental well-being. Her name is Sandy Godoy Messenger, but she is also known as the soulful Velvet Engine.
Cloudy head, bitter pill, calm my brain. Just be still, just be still. Brain intrusions fill my mind, squatting there all the time. Hey, my bed, but I just can't leave. Mixed emotions, darkness weaves. Hey, my bed, but I just can't leave. Holy friend, coke and booze, find them again, and I cannot lose. Many personalities I've become. Don't know the person that I show my mum. Hey, my bed, but I just can't leave. Mixed emotions, darkness weaves. Hey, my bed, but I just can't leave. Cloudy head, I've got a cloudy head. Cloudy head, I've got a cloudy head. Cloudy head, I've got a cloudy head. Cloudy head, I've got a cloudy head.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Really, really beautiful. I mean, I'm going to come straight in with the question. Because you have 4 EPs under your belt, Glimpse of the Sun, This Old Hat, Good People, and Cloudy Head, this newest release, which is stunning. Plus 2 Christmas singles. So which is your favourite?
Oh,
and why?
It's really tricky because if you ask me next week, I'll probably have a different answer for you. So I kind of fall in love and fall out of love with my songs quite easily. But at the moment, I would say it's Cloudy Head. And I think the reason is because the lyrics were actually written by my husband. And he basically wrote these words, and I just loved how it's just a really honest take on the fog that comes with depression, and I just thought it was really beautifully written, and I just wanted to make it into a song. And so I loved the fact that we did it together. And before this release, I had like a few years gap between releases, so it was quite nice to come back with a bang with that song.
Yeah, and it is stunning, but it's also very serene, actually. So I know what you mean about the lyrics being about that kind of feeling that you get, but it is a very tranquil song when you listen to it as well. And it's just stunning.
Thank you.
And I just want to pull out something that you just said. You fall in and out of love with your songs.
Yes,
what
I do.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. I think sometimes it's that imposter syndrome, and I'm sort of like, oh, maybe this song isn't actually very good, and then I kind of park it, and then I come back to it, and I'm like, oh no, actually no, it is good. So yeah, that happens.
A good tip for creatives out there. Actually, it's sometimes about saying, well, leave that for a minute, and then come back to it maybe in a different frame of mind. Yeah. I love it. Now, it's very folky, your sound, and it's very, very dreamy, and I love that. Who are you inspired by?
Oh, so many things. I say things because it's people, it's seasons, it's music. But yeah, in terms of music, my sort of number one is Laura Marling. She's like my queen. But I also really love people like bands like Elbow. I love Joni Mitchell, Neil Young. I also really love, my favourite group is called Young Fathers, and they are nothing like the music that I do. They are a sort of progressive hip-hop group, and they have like sort of like tribal sort of influences in there. It's very, very different to what I do, but they do inspire me a lot. They're just amazing to watch live. So yeah, and Queens of the Stone Age, there's like a bit of sort of more rock and Hole as well, was a band that I used to really love when I was growing up. And in terms of people, my friends, my family, public figures like Frida Kahlo. So she's a Mexican artist, and she really inspires me because she's endured so much pain, but she turns it into something beautiful, and she just represents resilience, and I like to think that my music represents that as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're talking about motifs and themes rather than actually, I like this style of music, which it's so superficial to me, isn't it? That's the basic of my understanding. But you're really talking about something a lot deeper below the surface there, about what you kind of connect with.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, so in that case, with that depth of understanding of all the people that you are inspired by, what brought you to singing?
So I've always sang in school choirs when I was little, but actually really it was going to church. So I grew up going to church every Sunday. I wouldn't say I'm religious now, but I used to love going to church every Sunday because there was a church band, and I used to just really love singing with everyone. There's something, although I'm not religious, as I say, there's something quite spiritual about when people come and sing together. So that was it really for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. But that's when you're singing together. Now, you are a solo artist, so how did that happen?
How did that happen? Well, I was in bands when I was younger.
Right.
So I started off in bands. I didn't start off as a singer. I started off as the bass player and did some backing vocals. And then eventually, when the bands broke up, I was like, well, I need to keep doing something for myself. So that's how I ended up doing it. And now I've been doing it for like 20 years, quite a long time.
But you're doing it so well, and you organise gigs, you do a number of different things for yourself as well as for other musicians, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, how has that journey been? That can't have been an easy journey.
No, I mean, it's definitely been a learning curve. I've learned a lot on the way, but it's been really fun as well, and I love collaborating with musicians when I can, and I love supporting local artists especially. I think that's really important. yeah, and you learn a lot from them as well.
Yes, yeah. And something which has always struck me about you, as I'm very privileged to know Velvet Engine outside of the set as well, which is very, very nice for me. I've been part of your gigs. The atmosphere is always so positive. It's always so supportive.
Yeah.
And it's very different to the stereotype that you might hear, oh, musicians, artists, they all don't get on with each other, there's all this professional jealousy. It's not like that at all. Or do you think that's because you create a supportive atmosphere?
Sort of. I mean, I definitely, I curate the acts especially because I know that they're brilliant people.
Yes.
And they've got a positive message to say and they can inspire people. So no, they're always really lovely evenings.
No, definitely. And it's so many different types of singing as well, different styles of song, which is fantastic. Now you're going to perform for us again. Tell me a little bit about this next song.
So this next song, it's a really special one for me. It's about my mum. So my mum and dad, they were refugees from Chile. So they came over to the UK sort of in the late 70s. They had to flee Chile for their safety because there was a military coup going on. And my dad was 18, my mum was 20 at the time. They just had a newborn baby. They didn't know any English, but they made a life out here. And they ended up having 3 more children. I'm the youngest. But then we didn't really get to go back to Chile that often, just because we're a very working class family. It was very expensive for the flights for a whole family. So this song was special because my mum, she sadly, about 11 years ago, she had a stroke, and that she basically lost the ability to talk, to walk, to eat. You know, all these things that you just take for granted, these like little things, but they're huge. So this song really is about taking her back to her happy place. And it's called Good People. Breaks my heart to see you in so much pain. I'm sorry that you're not okay. I'm sorry that you're not okay. Please hold my hand and I'll take you away to 3 years ago when you were okay. When you were okay. We could go back to the motherland, to your sister's house at the top of the hill above the glistening lake, and watch the stars and be happy once more. In the meantime, I'll try to figure out a way to keep those demons at bay and to put a stop to bad things happening to good people, to good people, to good people, to good people. We could go back to the motherland, to your sister's house at the top of the hill above the glistening lake, and watch the stars and be happy once more.
tear to my eye, actually, I have to say. It's gorgeous. And I think so many people can resonate with that, especially, I know my age, I'm at that age where you're caring for your parents as well, and you can see the change.
Yeah.
And even if it's just old age, there is something about that when you're singing. We can go back to your sister's house. It's so moving.
Oh, thank you.
What imagery does that conjure up for you, that song?
Oh, I mean, it's a sad song, but it's also really beautiful because it takes me back to a really, really happy time. And like when my mum, she became ill, it was actually just a few months before we went on a big family holiday. And obviously we didn't know that was going to happen. And we had it was a very wholesome holiday. We were in Chile for a month, and it was brilliant to see our family over there. And it was literally a few months later that she had a stroke. So I'm massively grateful that we had that time together, because she is still with us. She's very, very resilient. She's amazing, and she's still the boss. She can't talk, but she talks with her face. Good on Mum. Still bosses us about. And yeah, she's amazing. But she won't be able to go back there anymore, which is really sad. So yeah, I'm just grateful that we had that time together.
Yes, yeah. I mean, does she listen to your songs?
Yes. Yeah. So she can understand everything. She listens to my songs. She still has a very good sense of humour. But yeah.
Oh, that's really, really lovely. I mean, it shows how much you can put into a song, how much emotion and how much feeling you can put there. Why is singing such a great way of expressing yourself?
Well, firstly, singing is good for you, and it releases endorphins. So scientifically, it's good for you.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm not always very good at expressing myself or being really, really open like some people. Sometimes I stumble over my words, I get anxiety about it. I hate public speaking, which is really weird because people are always like, yeah, but you're a musician and you play songs. And I'm like, yeah, but I sort of know what I'm doing, and I'm kind of all right with that. But when it comes to public speaking, I'm just like, I need a script. But yeah, so in that sense, it's really good for me because it's a good way to express myself without feeling worried about stumbling over my words, because they're there ready.
Yeah. and actually this is something I'm glad you touched on, because so many people do think that, and there is that presumption, oh, you're on stage all the time, you must be this real extrovert, you must always no. There's a real difference between something that is really prepared, even I'm sitting here with a script as well, and you can present when you know what you're talking about, what you're doing, and then it's a very different situation. I can't improvise, for example.
Yeah, no, me either.
Yeah, don't be too quick to judge there. Now, in terms of using singing for your well-being, have you ever either used it therapeutically for yourself or for others?
I think every time I sing, it's therapeutic. To be honest, I've joined a choir. This is just like a side thing, and like I was saying before, there's something about singing with other people, like it's just so good for your well-being, and it's just always so joyful. So in that sense, and also like you were saying, I am actually quite an introverted person, which people don't always expect or believe. So it's a good way for me to get pen to paper, just get all the worries out of the way, not worry about stumbling over my words, like I said, and then just release. It's a good release.
Now, this may be a difficult question to answer. I don't know, because I'm not a musician. But when it comes to writing music, where do you start? How easy is that?
I mean, it varies.
Right.
Sometimes I have melodies in my head. And I would say the best thing to do is I have to record them on my phone before I forget them, because I'm quite forgetful. So I've got a load of voice notes on my phone of just different melodies. And then sometimes I'll just start playing in different tunings on my guitar. Sometimes the words will come first, and then the music. It's kind of whatever goes. I've done a few songs with my husband now. We've written 3 songs together where he's done the words, and then I've taken them away and made it into a song. So that's always really nice as well. So yeah, it's just kind of.
But I think your point about the voice notes,
yes,
that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a writer, I always tell people, write it down, because it's never wasted. Don't think just because that hasn't gone into your book, you're never going to use it. But I've never heard of the voice notes. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really, and like I say, I'm quite forgetful, and I have done it before when I've had something in my head and I have completely forgotten it, and I've really annoyed at myself for not recording it. So yeah, we've all got smartphones pretty much, I think. So yeah, you can just record it.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Now, I know a lot of your songs are very soulful. But you join this choir, so of course you'll be singing different styles. Yeah. Are there any particular styles where you just go, yeah, I really like that?
Oh, man. What, as in to sing?
Yeah, just to let go.
To let go. I mean, like I said before, I used to really love Hole when I was growing up, which is, you know, they're just really fun to sort of shout about and sing to and just really rock out, which isn't really my... Yeah, it's not really how I perform, but it is really fun to just do on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that either. The last thing you want to do is get pigeonholed into one particularly all that time. Would you ever release a song like that?
Yeah, probably.
I love that.
I'm definitely open to not being stuck in one genre. Yes. I really like a lot of, I've got another side project which I do with a friend, which is like an electronica project. So it's very, very different to what I do. So yeah, it's nice to mix it up.
And I was just going to ask, what do those different styles give you? Does it help when you're creating as well, and as well as that expression of different styles of music?
Yes, it definitely helps when I'm creating because it kind of uses your brain in a different way. So I think that's always, I'm always learning.
Yeah, which is the right way. I think that's really important. And then, I mean, when listening to you, certainly listening to that last song, I know I can think of so many people who will actually be moved by that song from their own situations. Yeah. From your audiences, have you ever had those moments where someone said to you, oh my goodness? Yeah,
particularly with that song. I've had that with quite a lot of people. And I feel like we're sort of, well, I'm at that age where a lot of my friends, their parents, you know, they are getting older. And like you think of them as these superhuman people, but, you know, everyone, people can relate to it, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Really,
really lovely. And now you're going to perform again. What song have you chosen, and tell me about this one, please?
Yes, so the next song I'm going to do is called Splendid. So this one, it's quite a positive song. I wrote it sort of post-pandemic. It was such a weird time for everyone. Yeah. It's such a weird time, and which we all kind of went through together, but in isolation. It kind of feel like it never happened, but anyway. And I think we, as the beautiful creatures and individuals that we are, we're all very, very complex. And I think actually we can be really hard on ourselves. And this song is really a reminder to stop being so hard on yourself, and that we're actually all really resilient and we're splendid.
What better introduction than that? Velvet Engine and Splendid.
Calling you again. When did the music stop playing? You've been walking in silence, but I know you've been talking in your sleep. And I know that the last year or so has been bloody bleak. But when did sleep become the enemy? Oh, can you hear the storms are coming? Well, I will make them disappear till you come here. Though you are restless, you're mighty. You are splendid, you're splendid. The cracks are starting to show, a multitude of cobwebs overflow. The silence descends on you. You may feel hollow, you may feel blue. And I know, yes I know, that the last year or torso has been fucking weird. But be gentle with yourself, my dear. Oh, can you hear the storms are coming? Well, I will make them disappear. They come here. Though you are restless, you're mighty. You are splendid, you're splendid. January's burying me. Words escape me. January sucks out all my energy, and I've been quite late. There's something about January that makes me wanna hide my face. Oh, can you hear the storms are coming? Well, I will make them disappear. They come here. Though you are restless, you're mighty. You are splendid, you're splendid. Though you are restless, you're mighty. You are splendid, you're splendid.
Hey there, I'm Diane Forster, host of I Have Today, where we talk about the art of intentional living. Our show is on the Fresh Takes channel on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you're ready to be inspired, empowered, and educated and learn how to live the I Have Today way, then tune in. Hope to see you there.
Welcome to the Great Dream Challenge, Velvet Engine. This is a challenge we give all of our guest stars, and it's the Action for Happiness, 10 Keys to Happier Living. You've got giving, relating, exercising, and so on, and it spells out Great Dream. Your challenge is to tell me as many of the things that you've been able to do for your well-being in the recent past or you're going to do in the near future as you can in 1 minute.
Okay.
Our winner so far is Dark Sugar, who got up to A. No one has got up to M yet.
Oh, wow.
And I've even been told by one of our guests, if anyone does, to invite her back because she's really competitive. So the gauntlet's down.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's find out how well you look after your well-being. Giving.
I've done some volunteering for the Happy Hood.
Relating, connecting with people.
Connecting with people. I have put on events so people can come together.
Exercising.
I go running and I like Zumba.
Awareness, living mindfully.
Singing.
Yes, trying out new things.
Oh, I love trying out new things. What have I tried out that's new? I went to an allotment and did some planting.
Amazing. Direction, having a goal to look forward to.
Oh, always write down a goal to look forward to. I always have a holiday to look forward to.
Brilliant. Resilience, how have you bounced back?
That's really hard. How have I bounced back? I have just talked to my friends, get
Love
some,
it.
yeah.
Emotions, how do you look for what's good in the world?
How do I look for what's good? This is so difficult.
How do you see the good in people, maybe?
I see the good in most people.
Yeah.
I just, to be honest, I look for the good in everyone. I see everyone as good until they piss me off.
Love it. Time is up there. You also got up to So, Dark Sugar, you're still winning. You're still winning.
I was going to say, for acceptance, watch Drag Race.
Or watch Dark Sugar and Skits and Quibbles. I love hearing you sing.
Oh, thank you.
Because it makes me feel good.
Good.
It really does. And what I really liked about the last song you did, Splendid, was that people tell me off for being quite a blunt coach. I'm not very, you poor, I'm not very nurturing. But I like that song because you're quite blunt about it.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was an awful year. Let's admit it and move on. Is that reflective of you, or do you think that was just something you put into the song?
I think it was how I was feeling at the time, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, let's crack on.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we just have to, for our own sake as much as anything else, just go, right, I'm shutting it out and off we go. So on that, what do you do to look after your well-being?
So I do a lot of singing, I do a lot of songwriting, but I think catching up with friends is really, really important. I try and make a lot of time to go and see friends. I love going to the theatre. Obviously, I've joined a choir, so that's really, really good for your well-being. And I try and go running. I just say it's usually like once a week. Once a week I'll go running and I'll go to Zumba. Yeah. So that's that sort of thing.
I think that's really good, and it's nice because things like running and Zumba, there is an element of you're with people, but you can kind of do it on your own as well.
Yeah.
And that's, a lot of people don't always realise that you can find a space for yourself.
Yes. Well, running is that for me. I don't go running with other people. And people have offered, they're like, oh, should we go for a run? I'm like, nah, that's my time.
Yes. And you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to say that. Now, I've got to ask you about being in the music industry, because that's got to be tough. What have been your highs and lows of being within it?
Oh, it's been such a journey. As I say, I've been doing it for about 20 years, so it's quite a long time. And the lows have been things like a lot of self-doubt. It's usually sort of brought on myself. But also things like rejected funding applications has been pretty tough, because actually being a musician is expensive, because you have to pay for things like instruments, which are not cheap, rehearsals, recording time, so all of that sort of stuff. I think when I first started, I used to just borrow my friends' instruments until I could afford to get my own. But you kind of, you make a way and you do it. But in terms of highs, there's been much more highs. So just playing lots of gigs, having fans that actually resonate with what you're doing. So I feel like I can actually help people feel like they're not alone, and that's the most amazing thing. In the last year, I've actually formed a band, which I've absolutely loved. I've loved every minute with them. They're brilliant, and they just give me a new energy. So I still do a lot of solo gigs, but I do a lot of gigs with them as well. So it's nice to be able to do both and share it with them. It's it's really lovely, and they're amazing. And this year I got runner-up for Best Female Artist in the Radio Wigwam Awards. So I was really chuffed about that.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's not easy to do this, but 20 years, that's sustainable, that's resilience, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
Were there any moments in those 20 years where you just went, I don't want to do this anymore?
It was never that I never wanted to do it. I've always wanted to do it. I think there's been times where I've lacked creativity. That's happened where I've just been like, I've got nothing. So that's been pretty tough, but you kind of just have to push through. And what we were saying earlier about the voice notes, it's quite good actually. Like if you sit on something that you're not happy with and then you come back to it, it's like recycling it. So I always do a lot of recycling with songs.
Yeah, and that's really nice advice there, because so often we do think it's like you're working really hard and then you just kind of get bored with it. But you're absolutely right, that's not the case for everybody. It can just be that lack of energy to create or to come up with that new thing. But then recycling, I think that's absolutely brilliant. That is brilliant. And that's a great tip, which brings me to my next question. What do you wish someone had told you when you were starting out?
Practice. Practice. Yeah, because I mean, this doesn't apply to everyone, but I was never a naturally gifted musician. I had to work really, really hard. And practice is, you just don't take it for granted. Like practice every day if you can. And recycle as well.
I swear by that one, honestly. Writing, totally swear by it. But practice is underrated, isn't it? Because that also then goes to show that everyone also tends to think you have to be naturally gifted, and you don't. You can work really, really hard at it.
Yeah, you can. And it's really nice actually to sort of see the progression as well. So if you can see videos from you like in the past to now, it's good to see that.
Yeah. And is it just the skill of playing and singing, or is it the confidence that you see has...
Yes, all of it. All of it. And to be honest, when I first started playing guitar, I was rubbish. I was Really bad for quite a few. In fact, I remember the first time I played in front of people, it was at a talent show at school, and I hadn't actually thought about the microphone and the guitar, and I had to keep looking at I couldn't master singing in the microphone and playing the guitar at the same time. So that was, a learning curve.
But that's what happens, you learn,
Yes.
and then you remember, and you don't do it again.
Yes, exactly.
And now we've lapelled you, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, what piece of advice would you give to somebody at, say, 3 points in the career? At the start of their career,
Yeah.
somewhere around the middle, and then maybe where they're maybe making that big leap?
Yeah. So I'd say at the start, play lots of open mics, get yourself out there, just play lots of gigs, make friends with musicians, so go to lots of local live, support your live music scene, your local music scene. I think that's really, really important to get yourself out there. And I'd say sort of midpoint, once you've started getting some recordings together, even if it's like now, you can just record yourself and upload it on YouTube so people can see what you're doing. I am part of the Musicians Union. I think for the first 6 months it's £1 for the first 6 months, so you can't really go wrong with that. After that, I think it's like maybe £20 a month. But they've got so many resources about sort of payment rates for musicians, things like that. It's knowing your own worth, that sort of thing. And that took me a really, really long time to get to that point. And they offer things like public liability insurance, and they do lots of webinars for Wellbeing as well. So that's really good. And what I would definitely suggest is get registered on PRS, Performing Rights Society. That's really important. So once you've got your songs released, get them licensed, and every time you play them live, you will get royalties. So, that's how you can kind of start building your own little business.
Yeah, that's very good, because that's the practicalities of it. It's the business element. It's all very well being creative and coming up with the music, but it is about how do you sustain that.
Yeah.
What about somebody who's making that leap now? Into professional, that lifestyle where you're singing all the time, you're maybe gigging quite a lot around the country, tours, that kind of thing.
I mean, one thing I would say is just look after yourself, look after your voice, if that's what you're doing. I used to smoke. I've quit smoking for about 7 years now. I've noticed a massive difference in my voice. I drink less. I know that's not so much fun, but you do get a lot of endorphins just from singing anyway, so you can try and kind of change it up a bit. Just look after yourself.
Yeah, because it's hectic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's funny hours as well. So how do you sleep?
I don't know. I don't know.
But as a serious question, you've gone to a gig, it's 2 a.m, it's been brilliant, and you need to come down from that and sleep.
Yes.
How?
Yeah, it's really difficult, especially when you've had an amazing gig and you do have that adrenaline and you feel like you're on drugs, and you want it to keep going. But I mean, for me, it's really simple things like watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That usually helps for me, just to sort of wind down, watch something funny.
I think that's really good advice, because in terms of acting, performers, that adrenaline is going, and you have to switch off because it's for your own well-being. You have to actually get that rest, especially if you're maybe going out working the next day or whatever else. Gosh, have you ever done that where you've been awake and then just ended up going to work the next day?
Yes, I have, and I always regret that. I usually now, if I've got like a late gig, I will try and, because I work full time as well. So if that happens like on a weekday, then I will try and book the next morning off. I've learned from my mistakes, but yes. But
again, really good advice there.
Yeah,
really good advice. So where can we learn more about you?
So mostly on social media. So you can find me at Velvet Engine on Instagram or facebook.com/Velvet Engine. I have got links on my Instagram bio to, I've got like a very makeshift Canva website. I don't know even what the link is, but you can find it on there. And all my songs on Spotify. I don't really use Twitter because I find it quite a negative place. So it's just, I just don't really, I am there, but kind of in the background. I've just got TikTok, and that's kind of a new whirlwind.
It's very good for musicians.
Yes, this is what I've heard. So this is what I'm trying to. But yeah, eventually I'm sure I'll be on there a bit more. But Instagram is probably where you'll find me the most.
Absolutely perfect. Now you're going to be playing us out to a song. Tell me a little bit about this, please.
Yes. So I'm really chuffed with this song. So it's actually my newest song. It's called A Town of Wool Fleeces, and this is actually another one where Ed, my husband, he wrote it as a poem actually about Northampton, which is where we're from, our beloved town, and it's just all about our beloved town. There's a lot of kind of crap. It gets a lot of negative rep, but there's a lot of good people as well, and it has great community, and yeah, it's just about that.
Velvet Engine, thank you so much, and please play us out.
I will. A town of rebellion, a Bradlaugh and more, a bubble bath in the fountain of shoes and Courtney laws, of saints and of sinners, of parks and of hills, hyacinth bouquet of bankrupt councils. Where the cotton is far and the end is near, though counting her 50-pence pieces will fleeces on the old dears. The great fire that destroyed the flood no one remembers. You're bound to get through poisoning around the flames and the embers. Move away all you want, but Northampton's in your blood. We may be ravaged by the Tories, but we'll be up to no good. The cotton is far and the end is near, though counting her 50-pence pieces will fleeces on the old dears. Where the cotton is far and the end is near, though counting her 50-pence pieces will fleeces on the old dears. Where the streets are paved in litter, but my home is my home and I will not be bitter. Where the streets are paved in litter, well, my home is my home and I will not be bitter. Where the cotton is far and the end is near, though counting her 50-pence pieces will fleeces on the old dear. Where the cotton is far and the end is near, though counting her 50-pence pieces will fleeces on the old dear.